if you're lactose intolerant, you can't watch this movie because it's got so much cheese.
Sorry, yeah, I gotta go. You guys can do this on your own now.
Nope, end it there. You agree 100%. I'm right.
Welcome back, fellas. What's going on?
Hi, Kevin.
Hello. Not much. Just
Joe, you sound sad.
I'm sad. I'm doing a little funk today. Just
Why? You want to talk about it, Joe?
No, it's just a weird day. You know,
Okay.
didn't get a lot of sleep.
I mean, like our
Didn't really do much
our
work,
18
but got a lot of
listeners
stuff
wanna
done.
know.
So
Yeah. True.
That's good, Joe.
yeah.
I'm sorry that you're in a slump, but get your fucking ass out of the slump because we got a podcast to film.
That's what.
Put that smile on.
Yeah, yes. Drink that
Mr.
whiskey.
Four Roses is
Sláinte.
for.
What are you drinking, James? Wine?
Wine.
Nice. What
A
kind of
little
wine?
variety
cab.
today.
A little bit of cab.
A little cab? What
Mhm.
brand? Like, what's your go-to? Like, what do
I
you
don't know,
keep?
some fancy shit. And my dad was like, "I don't want this one," and I was like, "I want
Oh.
all."
That's awesome. I
He's
forgot
got
your
the
dad
good
has
wine.
like a wine cellar now.
He's not a wine seller. He bought like 3 racks
Yeah.
of wine from Amazon. And
Yeah.
he just like picks it up.
It's
to,
just
like,
a
fill
wall.
the Amazon wine
Yeah.
rack. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm just being boring and drinking a little harp.
Little harp.
Hashtag ad.
Not a
Little
bad
Irish harp.
Ad. Hashtag I'm Irish. Okay. So the movie we watched this week was 2021 American crime thriller The Guilty, directed and produced by Antoine. I'm gonna pull a James. Antoine Fuqua, from a screenplay by Nick Pizzolatto. Joe, I might need some help from Joe on that one.
Tony
It is
P.
Tony P. Nick Pizzolatto. And it's a remake of the 2018 Danish film of the same name, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Christina Vidal, with the voices of Ethan Hawke, Riley Coe, if that's how you pronounce it, Eli Gore, and Davine Joy Randolph, and Peter Skarsgård. Oh, and Bill Burr. I didn't even know that.
There was more than
The
one
Guilty-
actor in this movie.
Who is Bill Burr?
Yeah, all voices, which we'll talk about. But
Yeah.
The Guilty follows a demoted police officer assigned to a call dispatch desk, is conflicted when he receives an emergency phone call from a kidnapped woman. Kind of mysterious, kind of eerie.
Mhm.
James, you asked who was Bill Skarsgård or Bill
Burr.
Burr in this?
No
Oh, wow.
spoilers, Avi.
Paul Dano
I feel-
was in it too.
Was
Alright, we
he,
can talk about it.
in
We
it?
can
let
talk
me
about it
guess.
later.
Was he
Doesn't-
Officer Nick?
That was the Wikipedia page that said it, but I don't see him.
I could see him being like one of the rando calls that he gets. But let's talk about that later. 'Cause I feel
Yeah,
like
for
it's-
sure.
yeah.
For sure. Talk about that later. But while I'm looking that up, why don't we kick it off with first reactions? Joe, what you think? No spoilers.
I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. Have you guys ever seen the Seinfeld episode Chinese Restaurant, where the
I don't
whole
know
episode takes
Seinfeld.
place in the Chinese restaurant and they're just waiting for their reservation?
It's a bottle episode.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but
Yeah.
yeah, never heard that term.
I've heard of that episode of Seinfeld because it's
So-
a notorious bottle episode.
Yes. It's basically, it takes place all in one scene. The characters kind of come in and out from this single location. Nothing really happens. It felt to me like a glorified Law and Order episode meets the Chinese restaurant episode of Seinfeld, where the story wasn't like super gripping because only one person really seemed to care in this whole movie. Like, obviously, yes, the point is he is a 911 operator. He gets his call and he is trying to help this woman who appears to be kidnapped, and he's trying to get all these people to help, and nobody really seems like that urgent or that much to care because there's this other wildfire breaking through LA and they're very busy as a police department, which is fair. But it just felt like, I don't know, nobody else cared, kind of, so why should we? But it was good. It was okay. I don't know what my overall take on this one just is just yet, but
You're waiting for us to help you.
I think we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to see if it's going to sway me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I'd be surprised if we didn't talk about this.
That's it, guys.
Yeah,
10
that's
minutes,
it.
we're done. That's it.
Yeah.
No, but that's just kind of my first reaction. Not that it was like boring, but it was. I don't know. It felt like a glorified
Okay.
Law and Order SVU episode to me.
Well, let me sell you, Joe. Ready for my
Sell
first
me.
reactions? All right. So this movie I thought was a fantastic show of acting, like absolutely phenomenal by Jake Gyllenhaal. You know, it was a very like after like 15. No, it was more like after like 30 or so minutes of this movie, you can like really tell that this movie is not for like the light of heart. You know, like it's a very like deals with very dark themes and situations, and it's all told from the room that he like this. Jake Gyllenhaal plays the 911 dispatch. It's told from his seat. You know what I mean? The entire like I'm not. We'll talk about it later, but like the entire set of the movie. Speaking of a bottle episode, is kind of like why we're pulling that in. Is it's all told from his seat on the phone lines at the 911 dispatch. And I thought the fact that that he and like the associated actors that were on the phone were able to kind of instill such an emotional story and such like I felt like the roller coaster of emotion as the story goes on and there are like realizations and more information becomes apparent. Like it hit, you know what I mean? And I wrote down a note. I was like, the first 10 minutes of this movie was more interesting than Sweet Girl. And it was like, because they established that like, he's like, in the first 10 minutes, they established like he's on leave for like some serious reason. He is like somewhat estranged from his family. And you can tell that he like has some sort of PTSD, you know, and that's like the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, I'm so much more interested in this than, you know,
I do want to say, I did note that this movie had great exposition in the sense that they told a very like a very intricate story. There's different levels of plots without kind of being in your face of like, oh, you are in trouble. Oh, you are a bad person. You are a good person. Like they did a very good job of setting the storyline and like all the different plots without like shoving it down your throat and making it so obvious. So that was a huge selling point. The first 10 minutes, 15 minutes I thought were great of this movie.
Yeah, and it's like they do a very good job. Like it's a very like again, this it's not that this hasn't been done before, but I can't think of any large budget movie that I've seen recently that takes the stance of okay, we're going to tell the whole story from one point of view, you know, and like in this way and this well done. So I thought it was
that is very intentional. The one point of view, as you find out more throughout the movie, but. James, I for like one of the few times I'm on your page 100%. I think you said literally exactly what I was planning on saying today. Like for my first reactions was that this was a showcase of acting for Jake Gyllenhaal, which is no surprise. I mean, I think Jake Gyllenhaal is one of the best actors of our generation. So no surprises there. Also had to give a lot of props to the people who lended their voices to this movie because it is all over the phone. So I think the talent that they showed, almost like a voice actor would, I guess you could consider them voice acting in this movie, right? It's got to be super difficult to like show those emotions and act the way they did like on a phone call. So that I thought that was really impressive. Story itself I really enjoyed. To James's point, like it's not for the faint of heart and you kind of get caught up with it almost right away. So the storytelling I thought was really good. The writing I thought was really good. I thought it was a good movie all in all. I enjoyed it. I was really caught up in it. Hour and a half is a good time for a movie for me, especially this movie. Like they totally could have found themselves like this is one of those movies where they can find themselves like just getting caught up in the weeds and doing this and that, and they were like to the point, like let me tell this story and that's it and it's over. So I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you guys ever see Phone Booth?
I think it was like
Phone Booth.
Is that a comedy?
No, it's it's like a similar vibe to this. It's about this guy who like answers a random phone booth call, and then the guy on the other line is like a murderer who's like, if you hang up this phone, I'm gonna kill everyone on the street. And then he's like trying. The whole movie is like him just talking and trying to figure out
on the phone.
On the phone.
Oh, isn't that with Josh Peck?
No, maybe.
Are you sure?
I feel like it's old. I feel like it's older than Josh.
It's
Peck.
old. Yeah. It was like, I feel like when he was on Drake and Josh.
Oh no, it was Colin Farrell. I'm thinking of a different movie.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that movie, but now that I'm looking at this like picture of it, I know the movie you're talking about.
Similar vibes to that.
But I feel like I had to study that movie for a class. Weirdly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember what class it was, but like I remember very specifically, at least maybe even talking about this in like a history class or something like in math. Yeah, I had to count how many beads of sweat the guy had in the phone booth.
This really reminded me of. Did you guys see The Call with Halle Berry?
No, I heard a similar analysis to that, but I've never seen that movie. So
I saw this. Me and my cousins got it out of like a red box. There was like, we had nothing to do, and it was like the only movie that looked interesting. And it's like the same thing. She's a 911 operator. The girl gets like kidnapped, and now she's trying to solve the kidnapping, over the phone. But then she leaves. Like it's not this movie because she actually goes out there and tries to like save the girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, super cool. Like, or not super cool, but like just kind of a similar vibe. But this was much better. This was significantly better than The Call.
Two things first. One. Actually, I'm going to save my second one for after the break because it contains some spoilers.
Because it's a spoiler.
Yeah. Okay. Have you guys recently, or ever for that matter, had to make a 911 call?
I have
multiple times.
Any, like...
I'm trying to think of the times. The one time I called 911, more recently, when we were living together, actually in Philly, I called 911 on my way home from work because I was on 95 South. I was on 95 South, and there was a couch in the middle of the highway, like a full-on couch, just sitting in the highway. So I called 911 because I didn't know what number to call. Like in that situation, I would have called a local station, but since I'm on the highway, I don't know who handles that. So I called them and just said, "Hey, look, there's a couch at this mile marker. Someone's gonna hit that couch." And at that point, like I'm on my parents' plan for my cell phone, and she gets like alerts if we call 911. So she's like, "Are you okay?" She called me. She's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, that was just a couch." But yeah, that was the most recent one. I've called it before for stupid shit, but. What about you?
I recently called a similar story. I called 911 when I saw a car flipped over, like on the highway. There was already like 30 people out of their car, like trying to help the people get out of the car and flip the car. But I called to just like let the dispatch know exactly where the car was. But if I have a funny 911 story that isn't my 911 story, it is my brother's 911 story. So not Jack.
Little story.
Jack. I love Jack. He was a little kid. He's a little kid, right? So Jack might be like 6. I was like 10, and we were over at my uncle's house, right? So my dad and my uncle are like making us dinner, right? I'm hanging out with my cousin, like watching some TV show, and Jack's downstairs playing video games, right? So Jack's like a little kid. Like 6 is like a little kid, right? So he's playing video games. Cops roll up in front of the house. My dad and my uncle are like, "What's going on?" Like, and then they like walk outside and they're like, "Hey, we got a call from a child," and then he hung up, and we wanted to know if everything was okay. And they're like, "Yeah, like I think everybody's okay." And then they ran in because they thought it was me and like my cousin that were like calling the police. And we're like, "No, we didn't call the police." And then we walk downstairs, and there's a Mickey Mouse phone downstairs in my uncle's house. So Jack called the police because he was having trouble with a video game. Because I think it was like my mom or school or something had told him, if you ever run into a problem that you can't solve or if you ever need help, call 911. So he had called 911. Someone answered the phone, and then I think he got nervous and hung up the phone. But because he was like, he was like, "Hello," you know what I mean?
Like, I'm stuck on level 13.
Wait a minute. So I had a different.
He was 6.
Story.
He was 6.
But
yeah.
There was when we moved first into this house and we got our pool, all of my cousins would always come over our house and swim and whatnot. And in our basement, we also had a Mickey Mouse phone. And
Let's go.
one day, 2 cops just stroll up in the backyard while everyone's swimming in the pool, having fun. Like, we're young. And I have 2 little cousins who are probably like 4 to 6 age range. And they were always up to trouble. And we found out that they, from the Mickey phone, because they thought it was a fake phone, called 911. And the cops came to, like, check it out, what was going on. But my other 911 story that I was going to say was I literally had to call them last week. Actually, it may have been, it was like a couple days ago. I called them. No, so Amanda and I were watching the Britney vs. Spears documentary, and towards the end of it, like, we're on the first floor in the city, so there's a lot of, like, noises, and we just hear this girl scream at the top of her lungs, like, in trouble, in pain, something. So we're like, that's weird. And then we're like, but there was nothing to follow up. A couple minutes later, we hear her scream again, and she's screaming, "Don't touch me, get off me," all this stuff. And we're like, okay, something's wrong. Like, we need to, like, investigate, like, figure out.
Is it in your building? Is it coming from your building?
No, it was clearly coming from down the street. So we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So I, like, you're in the city. It's never safe to go running towards screams. So
Yeah,
I
no.
just, like, stick my head outside to see if I can hear or see anything. And this girl, like, young white girl, just walking down the street by herself, she goes, "Did you hear that too?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, is everything okay? Like, was that you?" And she was like, "No, I think it was down the street." And, like, she's like, "I think everything's fine." She just, like, proceeds to continue walking in that direction.
How would you know?
So I'm
How
like,
would you?
yeah, I was like, "Did you?" So obviously you heard that too. You had concern.
Bystander effect.
Yeah.
Did you
So
just murder someone?
my exact thought was the bystander effect. I was like, okay, all of these people are hearing it and assuming someone else is going to take action. So, and I fell victim. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything. Like, I'm sure it's fine. Like, maybe she's having an altercation with her roommate friend, whatever. We're about to go to bed, and we heard we're just screaming nonstop at this point. I was like, okay, I'm calling 911. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, and we were like, literally, the first thing there, phone was like, "Are you in trouble?" I was like, "No," but, like, there's someone screaming on our block. Like, she sounds like she's in danger. She is screaming, like, "Give me my bag. Don't touch me," this kind of stuff. And she's like, "Where's it coming from?" And I was like, "Oh, I have no idea." I was like, it sounds like it's coming from this corner, but, like, it could be, like, we're in a city. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was just like, "Okay, we'll send a patrol car," and just, like, hung up. And I was like, "Oh, like, that's it?" Like, it just,
Well,
Yeah.
oh,
What did you think they were going to do? Send, like, a SWAT team?
No. But, like, I thought she was going to ask for more information, personal information, something to be like, "We'll get in touch with you." Like, if you questions, whatever. Nothing. Was
But
just like, "Okay, we'll send a car." And, like,
you also
done.
made it clear that you don't know that much. You know what I mean? Like,
Agreed.
Like,
Yeah.
I
No,
hear this on, like,
I wasn't
this
like.
corner.
Yeah. I also thought 911 had a policy of, like, they can't hang up on you by law. Like, you have to hang up first. And this is embarrassing on my part, but I'll tell the story. In college, I was drunk, and we were going up to this, like, free music fest. And I, like, broke my ankle going up. Couldn't walk anymore. I was like, fuck, I gotta go to the hospital. My ankle's broken. Like, I need a cast. I called 911. I said, I was that jackass in this movie who calls for a scraped knee or something. Yeah. And they literally hung up on me.
You broke your leg, though.
They hung up on me twice.
That is.
And then finally,
so
I was like,
funny.
"If you hang up on me again, I will sue." I was like, "I need an ambulance to get me to the hospital because I am on, like, a closed street right now. I can't get an Uber here," type of thing.
That is so funny.
Yeah. So those are my 911 stories, but it was just ironic that literally a couple days ago I had to call, and now we watched a movie exclusively about calling 911. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that note, double down, right?
Well, we're not doubling down.
We're not doubling down yet, but
still.
Pass or play first. Thoughts, Joe?
Click play.
Oh well,
I'm gonna go first.
I didn't.
I
let you go
speak with
first.
authority.
Fine, James. Go ahead. Since I'm letting you go.
I would like to click play on this movie. It is fantastic. I liked it a lot, and I think it was a fun ride all the way through, even though it was a little bit of a rough story. But
Joe, moment of truth.
I'm gonna press play too. It's a good movie. It's short. It does feel kind of like episodic TV movie, but I will press play, and I'm excited to talk about this in the second half.
Safe call, Joe. For the first time in a while, I feel like I'm also pressing play. Is this the first time we have 3 plays in
I
a
think
while?
so.
Since Tomorrow War.
Did we all click play on Tomorrow War?
Yes.
Huh. I don't
Well,
remember even clicking
The
play on
irony
that.
of this is that this is only going to be like 3 or 4 episodes released, whereas we
True.
recorded several more. So
Yeah.
several episodes
that's
after
true.
this are now spoiled.
Did Tomorrow War come out?
Tomorrow War.
It's the
yeah,
first
that
one.
is true.
So yes.
Kevin, do you
Okay,
listen
okay.
to the show?
Always.
Do you know what we're
Always.
doing here?
Yeah, so 3 plays and we'll go to commercial break. Make sure to either go watch it based on our recommendation, then come back and listen to us talk about the whole thing, or if you're not going to watch it and you just want to stick around, we'll see you in a few minutes.